An ultra-orthodox yeshiva and China are not a combination you'd expect to hear about. But during the Holocaust, one famous yeshiva survived only because it had the chutzpah to escape all the way to China. The Mir Yeshiva in Lithuania was one of the most important yeshivas in Europe. Between the world wars, it was attended by thousands of students who were anticipated to become the Torah scholars of the next generation, the jewels in the crown. After the outbreak of World War II, as the Nazis approached, the heads of the yeshiva desperately sought an escape route. This route was provided by the Japanese consul in Lithuania, Sugihara, who became known as the Japanese Schindler, for issuing entry visas to Japan against his superior's orders. In January 1941, 300 yeshiva staff and students left Lithuania and arrived on the Trans-Siberian Railway to the Japanese city of Kobe. The plan was to continue to the island of Curacao, but the travelers and the Japanese discovered that they could not continue on their way. The refugees were transferred to Shanghai, China, which was under Japanese occupation. There, they were housed in the impoverished Hangzhou district, which in effect was a ghetto. Tens of thousands of Jewish refugees were transferred to an area of 4 square kilometers, surrounded by a barbed wire fence. The conditions in the Shanghai ghetto, which the yeshiva students called in Yiddish Shanghai, shame to life, were not as terrible as life in the ghettos in Europe, but they were not easy either. In Hangzhou, tens of thousands of Jews and Chinese lived in dreadful, overcrowded conditions. Japanese soldiers patrolled the streets, and the residents received passports marked with yellow stripes. There was severe famine throughout the area due to the war, and the ghetto suffered particularly. To add to this, the Nazis put pressure on the Japanese to hand over the Shanghai Jews. The Japanese refused, thus saving their lives for certain. In its new exile, the yeshiva continued its studies. Why were the Japanese so hospitable to the Jews despite their alliance with the Nazi regime? Some say the Japanese clung to the prejudiced notion that rich Jews rule the world. If so, they thought, we should include Jews in building our East Asian empire. While other yeshivas did not survive the Holocaust, at the end of the war, the Mir Yeshiva expanded from 1 to 2, one in Brooklyn and one in Jerusalem. Both operate to this day. Thanks to the efforts of the heads of the yeshiva, and with the help of the righteous among the nations and Jewish philanthropists from 3 continents, the voice of the Jewish Torah continued to be heard, even during the darkest days in history.